All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a philosophy that has sold millions of books and started, well, a lot of arguments. We're talking about the rich dad, poor dad mindset from Robert Kiyosaki. It's a philosophy that pretty much asks you to forget everything you've ever been taught about money. So let's get right into it. Okay, so it all kicks off with this one idea. And, on the surface, it sounds completely wrong, right? I mean, we're all taught to go to school so you can get a job, so you can work for money. But Kiyosaki says that exact path is a trap. So what we're going to do is break down what he actually means by this and how he says the rich really build their wealth.
To really get what the rich dad philosophy is all about, we have to start with the problem he thinks he's solving. And for Kiyosaki, that problem is the life path that so many of us, especially millennials, have been told to follow since day one.
You know the script, study hard, get amazing grades, land that high-paying job, and boom, you've got a secure future with a nice pension waiting for you at the end. This whole promise is the foundation of what Kiyosaki calls the poor dad mindset. And just questioning it is the very first step in his whole method.
But here's the thing. For a lot of people today, that promise feels, well, broken. The source material points out that countless graduates are just shackled by massive student debt. And those secure, high-paying jobs they were promised, they seem to have just vanished. They played by the rules, and now they feel stuck. So, and this is really the crucial point, this isn't about memorizing new financial tips. Kiyosaki's whole goal is to fundamentally shake up your core beliefs about work and money. It's about making you question the entire system you were told to trust. It's really all about planting that first seed of doubt. And the way he does this is through this really powerful story, the parable of his two fathers. One was his actual biological father, who he calls the poor dad, and the other was his best friend's father, the rich dad. And they had completely, totally opposite views on money. And this comparison just perfectly lays out the two different paths. Poor dad was highly educated, had a PhD, and he valued job security more than anything. His mantra was always get a good job. But rich dad, who never even finished school, was an entrepreneur who valued financial freedom. His advice, own the company. It's just a classic clash between an employee's mindset and an investor's mindset. So, if the employee mindset is the trap, then what's the alternative? I mean, if the goal isn't a bigger paycheck or a safer job, what are you even supposed to be working for? Well, according to Rich Dad, the answer is one single concept: cash flow. This quote from Kiyosaki just cuts right to the heart of it. The real objective here is total financial independence. It's about being free from relying on a paycheck from your boss or even a pension from the government. The end game is to make yourself unnecessary to the whole process of making money.
Now, this is the cycle most people are stuck in. It's what Kiyosaki famously called the rat race. You go to work to get a paycheck, but that money immediately flows right back out to cover taxes, bills, your mortgage, everything. You're basically running as fast as you can just to stay in the same place.
Now let's compare that to the investor's loop. See the difference? Here the focus is all on buying assets. Then, those assets generate their own income. That's the cash flow, which you then use to buy even more assets. Your money starts working for you, and it creates this amazing self-sustaining cycle of wealth.
And that right there brings us to the finish line of this whole philosophy. Put simply, cash flow is the money your assets make for you every single month. The second that number is bigger than your monthly expenses, you've done it. You have officially escaped the rat race. You are financially free.
Okay, so what are these assets that we're supposed to be buying? Well, Kiyosaki breaks them down into four main categories. He calls them the four quadrants of what the rich really work for. So here are the four pillars: owning businesses, investing in real estate, holding paper assets like stocks, and controlling commodities like gold and oil. But his take on each of these is really specific and honestly, pretty controversial. So, according to Kiyosaki, businesses and real estate are the best because the government literally gives you tax breaks for providing jobs and housing. He's famously not a fan of paper assets, like 401ks or savings accounts. He actually calls them tools for losers because, in his view, the employees who use them end up paying the highest percentage in taxes. He much prefers tangible things like gold as a store of real value.
Now, this might be the most shocking part of the whole philosophy. I mean, most financial advice tells you to get out of debt, right? Kiyosaki says to use it. He makes a big distinction between bad debt, like credit cards, and good debt, which is money you borrow to buy an asset that makes you money, like a rental property.
So take a look at a typical employee's finances. The income comes from a job. But notice, the house and the car, they're listed as liabilities, not assets. Why? Because cash flows out of your pocket every single month to pay for them. They cost you money.
Okay, now let's flip that and look at the investor. The income comes from assets. And the liabilities, that's the good debt that was used to buy those assets. So in this model, a rental property is an asset because after you pay all the expenses, including the mortgage, cash actually flows into your pocket.
So when you put all of this together, what Kiyosaki is really arguing for is a complete mind shift in how you see the entire financial system. It's about finally understanding that there are different sets of rules for different players in the game. This is what Kiyosaki calls his golden rule. He argues that tax laws and financial regulations, they're not written for employees. They're written by the rich, for the rich. The whole system is designed to reward entrepreneurs and investors, the people who create jobs and provide housing.
And this brings us full circle, right back to where we started. The entire Rich Dad philosophy can really be boiled down to this one single shift. Stop working for money and start building a system where money works for you. The whole point is to stop trading your limited time for dollars and instead to own the machine that prints them.
So Kiyosaki's philosophy really forces us to ask a tough question. Is that traditional path, go to school, get a job, buy a house, is that truly the American dream? Or, by locking people into a lifetime of debt and making them dependent on a paycheck, has it actually become a financial nightmare? That's definitely something to think about.